Hey guys, welcome back. Central Florida Prepper here. Today I want to discuss a couple of things, and they all tie in together more or less. Um, I had brought up a topic on reaching out as far as community, and I had someone ask a question about how far is too far when it concerns of people living from you to join your group. And this actually ties in a lot with choosing out and preparing for bug outs, your bug out locations, and how much food and stuff like that you should pack in your bug out bags. Alright, so I want to begin by saying when you meet somebody and decide to add them to your community as prepping community, it is definitely something that you are going to have to fill out yourself. I can't tell you, oh yeah, as long as they meet these requirements, you're golden. I can't do that. Alright, you have to meet the person. You have to be around the person. You got to see who they really are, not what they present themselves to be. But instead of getting into all that, let's talk about mileage. Alright, first thing I wanted to discuss is, as an example, we'll talk about bug out locations and how to get to them, because it ties into, if something happens, can this person, if they live far away, can get to you in worst case scenario. In worst case scenario, I do mean by foot. Okay, so the first one up, let's go ahead, and this is not my bug out location, this is just an example. Let's say I decide I'm going to go to Cherokee, and that is my ideal bug out location. And now I'm coming from Orlando, which I'm not in Orlando, but we'll just use the map like that. By car, it says it's 8 hours and 49 minutes away, 594 miles. Okay, so that can make it in a day. All right, you can make that drive in a day, no problem. Optimal conditions. Okay, so let's say something has happened and vehicles are not working. Alright, so you find another mode of transportation. Alright, let's say we travel by bike. Well, according to the Google Maps, it's 2 days and 7 hours. Now, before we get real deep into that, I'm going to go ahead and bring up walking, because that's what we try to plan for. Worst case scenario, how long is it going to take? Now remember, this is 594 miles away. Walking from Orlando, Florida to Cherokee is 7 days and 17 hours. Alright, no problem. I can pack that much food, no big deal. Mind you, that is 7 days and 17 hours of non-stop walking. That's not sleeping. That's not stopping to go use the restroom, fill up water, try to dodge in case there is danger around you, having to hide out while danger passes you, or in the middle of a firefight. So the easiest way to do this is take your 7 days that you're looking at, multiply that by 24 hours in a day. It comes up to 185 hours when you add your 17 hours with it. Now, 185 hours of non-stop walking. You gotta sleep. So in projection with our ideology, if we are trying to bug out to a location or trying to get somewhere, we break ours down to an 8-hour walk time is how we plan our stuff out. So 185 hours, we divide it by 8 hours a day. That now brings us to 23.125 hours. Days, I apologize. 23 days of travel at 8 hours a day. And that is every day you're walking for 8 hours. And the rest of the time you're cooking, eating, whatever it is that you need to else be doing during that time. So, that 8-hour trip that was by car at 8 hours of walking per day turns to 23 days. Yeah. So using that formula, we look at people that's around our vicinity when they want to talk about joining our group. Now, let's say, let's take Tampa for example. Tampa by car from Orlando is an hour and 28 minutes, 95 miles. If I had to go by bike, 8 hours, 41 minutes. And that is 8 hours and 41 minutes of non-stop riding a bicycle. Okay, now there's going to be traffic jams, things like that, a lot to consideration. All right, now worst case scenario, which we always try to plan for, they say it takes a day and 7 hours on foot. Now comes up to 31 hours when you break it down. And if you travel 8 hours a day, it will take 3 days, almost 4 days, 3.875 is how many days it would take to get from Orlando to Tampa on foot in optimal conditions, being able to walk 8 hours a day. Now remember, Florida is very hot. So that does take into play, guys. So when we meet and talk to people here with our group here at the house that are in different locations of the state, we run assessments on it. Okay, if something happens, how are you going to be able to get to us, or are we going to have to meet somewhere in the middle? Okay, let's say that you will be coming towards us, but you are, let's say Tampa, it's 4 days away. Do you have the abilities on foot, if necessary, to get to us with some supplies? All right, so that's a big thing there too. All right, in 4 days. If not, if so, are you planning to put survival gear, survival buckets in the ground between our distance? That way you always resupply so you can actually carry more stuff or whatever. So anyway, guys, that's how we look at things here. I hope that is somewhat informative for you. I know a lot of people just grab a map and go, well, it's only 200 miles, we're good to go. Google Maps says it's only a day away, but when you look at the mileage and you start figuring in how long can you actually walk and how long can you actually walk with loaded down with gear, everything comes into play. So alright guys, I'm going to go and let you go. I got dinner cooking right now, so y'all take care.